that your pervy voice? Or
I think I need to make that our intro.
Your Quiet Storm guy.
The Quiet Storm.
I've been getting that a lot.
Listening to 93.5. The Quiet Storm. That is what that voice is, huh?
Dude, I've been getting that, like, hey, you guys gonna do an intro? And it's like, yeah, this is the intro right now. I mean, do we make it official? This is Ronnie Flores, Henzo Gracie.
You don't know my name?
Jason Rep, Henzo Gracie.
Black Belt Extraordinaire.
Black Belt Extraordinaire. Today is the 21st podcast.
It's the 21st podcast of the Bromos Jiu Jitsu
Bromos
experience.
Man, what a great morning, man. Got to go and grappling games, got to coach the little ones. And those things are always so, like, nerve-wracking for me because you never know, like, you know, you have your minds, you have expectations in your mind of what you think the kids are going to do. And then it's always that thing, like, where, like those memes where it's kind of like expectation meets reality, you know? And it's just like, in your mind, you're like, oh, yeah, they're going to go out there and murder everybody. And then it's just like, you get to see, okay, there's some things we need to work on here and there. But, man, dude, to see those little guys compete and just, man, it's just no better way to start the day, man. Thank you as well for coming out and helping.
Man, that was fun. I really enjoy coaching the kids or being there to support them because it's really neat. Like that one kid we saw, he was getting marked by everybody, but he's smiling the whole time, having like this amazing time. And it's like, hey, that's, you know, it kind of reminds you that that's what jiu-jitsu is about for everybody. It should be having fun and it should be improving your life and bringing you good vibes. And I saw a lot of that today. And actually, I was really impressed. I didn't see any crazy parents today.
I was shocked at that
because usually there's a couple.
Yeah, there are a couple, and the best ones are the parents that overly coach and don't train jiu-jitsu. It's kind of like
every time.
Maybe you should sit down somewhere and figure out what's going on before you start screaming at your kids, you know, because it happened to me at this very same tournament last time where one of the parents was screaming something and the kids just stuck on the bottom. You know, all we're trying to do is get him focused to get out from side control, recover to a better position. And the dad's steadily screaming at the top of his lungs, submit him. And I'm like, and I let it go. Because first of all, he shouldn't have been back there with where I was, but he was right behind me. And I just let it go because I'm trying to focus on helping this little dude out. And he just keeps yelling it. Finally, it was like, I had to look up and be like, there's no submission there. And he just kind of like got quiet, you know, but it was like, dude, like, I don't come to your job and pretend that I know what I'm doing because I don't.
Staple the paper.
Yeah.
Staple the paper.
Right.
Is that like the equivalent? Is that the equivalent of the guy at the UFC fight that's like, punch him in the face?
Yeah.
Punch him in the face.
Captain Obvious, man. But it was like, dude, hit the mats once or twice, you know, just so you. I think it should almost be a requirement, like where a parent should have to do one or two like training rounds just so they can get an understanding of like what the kids are going through, so they understand that some of the stuff they're screaming makes no sense, but just kind of what the kid's going through psychologically and physically to where, dude, it takes a lot to be stuck on a bad position, stay calm, you're trying not to get submitted, you're trying to listen to your coaches, and you got a parent screaming over you. It's just like, it's almost like instead of saying dear white belt, it's like, hey, dear parent.
It could be another segment.
Yeah, it could be a whole other segment, right? But no, man, like it was a lot of fun. It's always fun to get out there and you know, hang out with the parents. And one thing I really love is that it's becoming like a little community of, you know, there's like a good group of kids that always compete pretty regularly. So we get to see them, we get to see their families, and you know, I just always think it's cool that, you know, they think enough of us to say, hey, you know, come out here and coach the kids.
And shout out to Grappling Games. I think they ran a pretty good event today.
You know,
they
man,
were more organized. They had like, you could look on your phone for the mat times, and they were pretty much on point.
Yeah,
I was pretty impressed today.
We did this same tournament about 2 months ago, maybe a little bit longer, and I was actually blown out of the water the way they have it set up on that app now, where you can just kind of refresh it. You know exactly who's going at what time, and like you said, man, from what I saw, it seemed like every match was within 3 to 4 minutes. Like, it was moving pretty good. Everything was like pretty accurate. So I mean, you can't ask for that anything better than that, you know. Great facility, you know, great referees, everything ran on time, kids had a ball, and more importantly, it's kind of like one of those things where, from a coaching standpoint, you get to see kind of where the kids are at and where we need to make improvements, you know, because it's funny that tournaments seem to have trends, And this trend today was everybody went back to guard pulling. And so a couple of kids got stuck, trying to figure out how to get out of guard. And then a couple of kids got stalled out in guard, where they pulled guard or they got into a recovery position, got to full guard, and then they got kind of stuck. And it was just kind of like, ooh, like he's literally, the coach is in at this kid to stay there for a minute and a half. He's not telling the student to advance, pass the guard. He's up on two points, and he's telling this kid. And now I'm like in full panic mode, like, we have to move, we have to sweep, we have to go for something, because this guy, now it's clear the game plan is just hang out here and stall him out for a minute 30, win by 2 points. So it's funny that every time we've gone to one of these tournaments, you get to see kind of like a lot of the strategy that goes on, and more of the trend that it's like this tournament just happened to be a bunch of closed guards techniques. And the last one we went to at Grappling Games, it was more outside singles to side control and complete stall. No submissions, get your 2 points, maybe get to mount, and then 100% stall. So it's kind of like, man, it's just funny. It's almost like, but every time we go, man, like I said, it's cool to see these guys improving and having a good time and having a little bit of fun, So, and since we're talking about fun, I saw this pretty cool article. I wanted to kind of run it by you. Mr. Jocko,
my man.
Don't need to say his last name. We all know who he is. He had it on his podcast, and I was reading an article about it where he talked about you should enjoy getting tapped out. And I kind of read up on it, and it's mostly the question was basically from a 55-year-old that's struggling, getting his ass kicked, and he just kind of wants to know, like, man, when am I going to get better? When is this going to stop sucking? And he kind of goes into this whole thing about how Jiu-Jitsu is going to continue to suck for about 2 years probably, until you can finally kind of start putting things together. And one of the things that stood out in the article is that he basically said that one thing you need to do when you're starting out your Jiu-Jitsu journey is to embrace the suck and enjoy getting tapped out. Now, embrace the suck seemed like it was more for the novice guy that just got going, but enjoying tapping out, that seemed like it was geared more to like the higher belts. That you should be amazed that you got submitted or tapped out, and you should have fun with that whole idea of getting tapped out. We talk about the ego and everything, but what's your take on that? Like, do you enjoy getting tapped out? Honestly,
so for most people, getting tapped out sucks, right? You feel like it's a blow to your ego. You feel like you just cried uncle, all that stuff. Everybody experiences that, and honestly, that was one of I was never verbal about it, but it was always internally. Especially if I got promoted and then the lower belt would tap me out, I would be. It would bother me, like, man, like that. The lower belt shouldn't be able to tap me out. I'm supposed to be a higher belt. My technique should be good enough not to get tapped. But really, I have to say it. So we've been trying like 12 and a half plus years, and really just this recently, I've gotten to where getting tapped out doesn't bother me at all. Like, just not at all. Like, I'm just going for stuff. I'm working hard. I'm putting in effort, and I'm not concerned with preventing getting tapped out. I'm concerned with developing my game. So when I do get tapped out, I don't know. It doesn't bother me anymore. I don't know if I can say enjoy, but it's not. It doesn't. I don't not enjoy it. Like, it's not like last night we were training pretty hard, and we were going hard, and I had three. I Henzo Harry, I had Joe Murphy, and then I had Cleburne, and all three of those guys are tough as hell. And I boom, boom, boom. I got tapped out like 3 times back to back to back. In that little round robin Shark Tank thing we were doing. And but it didn't bother me one bit, because I was going for stuff. I was trying to go hard, and I was just getting caught. But it didn't bother me even a little bit. In fact, when Cleburne tapped me, I was like, "Good job!" Smacked him on the ass.
Hey-o, did smell your hand? Delicious.
I
did you do that?
I should have.
Okay.
But anyway, no, I didn't. But I'm getting to the point where I'm almost kind of excited about it, because it's like, okay, there's something to learn here. There's something to learn. I'm going to improve from this, because I'm going to get better at preventing whatever that was from happening again. So maybe I could say I'm starting to enjoy it. That would be a very generic way of saying, like, I enjoy the fact that I'm learning from it. Yeah. And that I enjoy that it doesn't bother me anymore. So I'm not afraid to just open up my game and just try stuff with people, and whatever happens, happens, I'm going to get better from it. Does that make sense?
No, it does, because like, and it's funny because you brought up a very specific thing about the black belt, and I think that I agree with you in that probably after I got my black belt, your initial, like your first year as a black belt, it's weird because you do feel like, oh my God, I've got the biggest target on my back. I've got to defend my belt. I can't let nobody submit me. So that first year, it's almost like, my wife jokes and called me the white belt of black belts when I got mine, right?
She called us the white belt.
The white belt, yeah, the white belt.
I remember correctly.
Yeah, she called both of us that, right? But it's like, it kind of makes sense because your first year, at least I felt like my first year as a black belt, I did feel like a white belt in that I kind of reverted into that white belt mentality where it was just like everything was life and death and I couldn't get tapped down. I had to represent my belt.
Yeah.
And so the first 6 months to a year was kind of like, it was very much about asserting myself like, all right, I need to make sure that I'm getting after it, that I'm getting submissions, that I'm not being submitted. But then once I got past that, then it started to become fun again. And like, in fact, I remember this. It was a few months back before David Cruz got his black belt. He was a brown belt. He came to an open mat, and we were all training together. And we got into a scramble. I got into a turtle position, and I felt pretty safe, And he did some sorcery, and next thing I know, like I'm tapping out.
He's tough. That dude's tough.
Dude, when he tapped me, I had the biggest smile on my face because it was like, what the shitballs just happened? Like, what was that? I'm in a turtle. I felt safe. I remember he was kind of playing around with my chin, not thinking anything of it. Well, he did this super sneaky choke where it's almost like a modified, Peruvian, I guess, but he does it with his gi and it's super sneaky. And when he hit me with it, I could not stop like smiling, like, cause it was like I hadn't been hit with. You get hit every now and then by the higher black belts that run through you and treat you like you're a white belt, But it's you get kind of hit with the traditional stuff, You might get hit with an arm lock or some sort of triangle or
wrist lock.
Yeah, a wrist lock, right? But this move was so sneaky, at least to me, because I hadn't seen it before, that I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Forget rolling for the rest of it. I took at least 15 minutes of his time, and he was so cool. He walked me through the move. He showed me how to do it. And then I started playing with it. I just now hit that move like maybe about a month ago. And he showed this to me almost a year ago now, if I had to take a guess, because he hadn't got his black belt yet. And but I remember just feeling that excitement, like, damn, that was the coolest thing ever. Mm-hmm. And then more recently, since Professor Joe Murphy joined us, like, rolling with him is just like you're trying to figure out how to fight a giant octopus. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. The minute you get anywhere near his guard, like, bad things are going to happen. And he came in and started murking me with Barato Platas. I remember Barato Platas back when I was a purple, but we never really kind of put a lot of time into him. And it just turns out that that's one of his specialties.
Oh, shit. And
when he hit me with them, it was like, holy shit. Like, I'd forgotten about this move, I had forgot how sneaky it is, how some of the setups are so dirty where you think you're passing someone's leg over and you're going to pass their guard. Next thing you know, you're just wrapped up in that arm. And it's just like, so it's like, I'm noticing now that when I get submitted by the higher belts, it is kind of a fun thing where it's just like, that was super cool. What was it? Let me see it. Let's work it. But there's no more of that, like, oh man, he got me, he got me. It's just, it is like a genuine excitement to be like, it's like it gets you amped up. Sometimes, being on the mats can get a little bit stale. You're kind of working a lot of the same techniques a lot of the time. You get into your comfort zone, and all of a sudden you get murked by some move that it's just like you haven't seen it in a while, or you've never seen it before. And then it's just like, that's what lights a fire in my ass. Like, that's what makes me want to come right back the next class, the next day. Like, dude, that was so cool. I gotta learn it. I gotta figure it out. I gotta figure out how to add it into my game. Now, with higher belts, it's like, another black belts. It's I think it's always pretty cool, But like when I'm going with lower belts, do you ever feel like if you get tapped up by a lower belt, where you feel kind of like, do you feel like, do you do the whole great job, give them their credit, or do you feel more like, oh, you done fucked up because we got 4.5 minutes to go. Now I'm gonna work your ass.
So, all right, it's gonna be It's going to be both. It's going to be one. I'm not taking that away from you. You work. You got it. I'm not going to take that away from you. Good job. But when that happens, then it kind of signifies to me, well, maybe I need to step it up a little bit with this guy, and push him harder and push myself harder. One, because if I'm getting caught by someone who's inferior, like inferior.
Wow.
That was probably the wrong term, but someone who's not been training as long and is probably should not be catching.
Someone that's not as skilled as you is what you were looking for.
Doesn't put as much time on the mats, right? Then I'm probably being too lazy in my training and with that person, and I need to pick it up, not just for me but for him as well.
Right.
And so it's like one, but two, it's like, well, okay, that was nice, but now I'm gonna kind of show you another level here, and I'm gonna start putting it on you a little harder, not in a mean, malicious way,
right? But
I'm gonna up my game up and start using more of my techniques and my skills to control you and to show you the next level. So yeah, there's a little bit of ego in that. Like there's a little bit of ego, like, okay, good job, you caught me. Now let's see when I step it up if you're gonna catch me. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does.
There's ego. There's ego there.
Yeah.
But I think it's healthy ego. It's not like I'm gonna hurt you. It's like, okay, now let's pick it up. It's a competitive type ego.
You know, that's a great one because like I'm trying to think, like I was thinking about what you were saying, and I noticed that the times that I get caught, usually by a lower belt, I still manage to get happy in the sense that I feel like that's what you get for being lazy. Most of the times that I get caught by a lower belt, it's because I've gotten complacent, gotten way too comfortable in a bad position. I've been able to get out of it so many times that I'll put myself in a bad position thinking, I'll work my way out of it. And all of a sudden, boom, you get nailed. And so the thing that I usually take away from it is like, damn, that was pretty cool, man. Like you got it, you know? Mm-hmm. But a lot of the times it's me being complacent where I shouldn't have been there. I got too comfortable, and then something bad happens, and that kind of helps to remind you, like you said, like, oh, okay, let's step it up, because I don't agree when people roll where it's just like, I'm not saying every match has to be, you know, a death match, but I don't like when two people are supposed to be live rolling, and well, it depends on what you're trying to get out the rope. But if we're supposed to be going live rolling, and there's all this, you know, monologuing and giggling, and you're doing a mini seminar during the roll, like I just feel like this is not the time for that.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of times that's kind of like when I get caught in those positions, it reminds me that what was I doing? Was I trying to be too helpful? Was I trying to be, because I feel like you're doing yourself and your partner a disservice as a higher belt by not really pushing them and then pushing yourself, you know? And that's the thing that I always have to remind myself is like, it doesn't really serve a purpose for me to just let some lower belt dominate me and destroy me and get all these submissions when he might not understand that, hey, I'm working with you, so take it easy. You don't need to be on Facebook or in your diary talking about me or whatever, you know? But like, that's the thing that it helps remind me of is just you're being complacent. And that's kind of one of those things where that's the positive piece I'll take out of that. Now, because I've got such good rapport with the guys, you know, I'll tell them like, oh, nice, you know, that's good, you got it. And then we'll look up at the clock and I'll be like, oh, it's like, it's got 4 minutes left though. And then they're like, they know like it's coming. And then, you know, it's not ugly, but it's more moves where it's just like there's going to be a whole bunch of, you know, pressure. There's going to be a whole bunch of mother's milk. It's just going to be those. I'm not really even going for submission at this point. I just want to make you suffer for 4 minutes because you got me, you know.
I do that too.
But it's always like in a very like it's in a healthy way. Like I'm not trying to destroy anybody. I don't want anybody to feel demoralized. Right. I don't ever want somebody to feel like I caught them and then now I'm going super aggressive and hard, and so now maybe the next time they're kind of timid and they don't want to roll with you because they're worried that what if they catch you again? Yeah. There's gonna be consequences like that. I don't want anybody ever to feel like that when they roll with me. So for me, I'm now at a point now where it's like it has become more fun, and I'm more focused now on staying safe than I've ever been. Mm-hmm. You know, getting older, and I feel like there's something constantly aching and something just doesn't quite feel right. And so when I roll now, I try to focus more on that piece, is just having fun, making sure my partners are learning something, pushing them enough where they're getting what they need out of the rope, but also, you know, I work with them as well. and then just really kind of always trying to do my best to stay safe and not get injured, man. Because it's funny, you know, you and I were at the Grove the other night. We were working a really cool technique that, you know, Harry was showing. And as soon as we finished drilling it, my back locked up on me. We weren't doing anything crazy, but my back locked up, and it was just kind of like, oh, that doesn't feel good, you know. And then that night, oh man, it was rough, dude. I don't know what I did to my back on Wednesday night, but it was literally 2-3 in the morning. I'm walking around trying to figure out how to breathe and how to stay comfortable. And man, it got me thinking about you, because I was like, is this what Jason's talking about? Maybe I should work out a little bit more to, you know, strengthen my back,
Yes.
you know?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I thought about you, and I was just like, man, maybe it would help to, you know, run or do some, you know, some kind of thing.
You don't need to run. Running is so overrated. Like, running is hugely... let me premise this. I'm not a personal trainer, not a certified personal trainer. I don't have a degree in kinesiology or physical therapy. But from my years of doing a lot of training and lifting, competing and all this stuff, running does very little for you other than jack up your joints.
Probably on your lower back, huh?
Well, more like knees and ankles and stuff like that. Unless you're running with real poor form, I don't think it's going to fuck up your back. But it's good for burning calories for the time you're running. Okay. That's it. It doesn't continue afterwards. So you can burn some calories while you're running, and that's about it. There's way better ways to burn calories than running. So I'm not a proponent of running. It has its uses, but I'm not a proponent of it. I'm much more a proponent of lifting, and then for doing jiu-jitsu, if you're lifting and then you're doing your cardio and your fat burning is really training, is rolling, because that's one of those, like, you roll for 30-40 minutes, you're burning a lot of calories, and you're burning it in a really excellent way, because you're doing resistance training while you're burning calories and doing your endurance training. It's an excellent way. Like, when you're running, you're just boom, boom. You're just pounding your feet on concrete, or a treadmill, which is even less effective. But when you're on the mat, you're pushing, you're pulling, your heart rate's going up and down, up and down. You're exploding. You're doing all this stuff, and you're forcing your heart to have to constantly react, your body to constantly react to what's happening. That's one of the reasons why jiu-jitsu, people who can be in phenomenal shape, they come in and they roll for 60 seconds and they're completely winded. Yeah. Because their body has never done anything like that, where it's constant. Everything needs oxygen. Everything needs something to happen. So really, a lot of your cardio, I think you can get through just good hard training on the mats, which is the most effective for jiu-jitsu.
So there's an article here that I was reading where it says the best conditioning for BJJ: row more, circuits, swimming, or running.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I don't like the running, but the swimming and the circuits are excellent. Like, my training when I lived, and actually I was talking to Cleaver, who's a personal trainer, and he did MMA for quite a few years, and so he's real knowledgeable. And we were talking about training specifically, and so when I lift, every time I do circuits, I'll post some of my lifts sometimes, but I don't show you everything I'm doing. I'm showing like 2 or 3 things I'm doing, but I'm constantly. Whatever I'm doing, it's like a minimum of 3 exercise circuit, sometimes 4. So I may, for instance, if I'm doing if I'm doing back, right? So if I'm doing back, which is a pull exercise, whatever back exercise I'm doing, I'm countering with like push-ups, and then I'm adding on, say curls for the biceps, just to get the push pull, so everything's being evened out and everything's working. If I'm doing like chest, I'm doing a push, which the chest is a push exercise. Then I'm jumping onto a pull-up bar. I'm doing my pull-ups, which is a pull exercise, right? And then I'm countering it with something else. So it's always like 3 circuit. And then if I really want to push it, I'll throw in skip rope in there as well, just to keep the heart rate constantly up, and then take short breaks. Now, if I'm lifting heavy, which I don't really lift heavy anymore, just because it's not beneficial for jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, not for me physically. But if I'm lifting, say deadlifts or something like that, that's when I'll still do a circuit, but I cut it down a little bit, because the deadlifts are such a full body exercise. Like, it's working so much of your body. You need a little more recovery time to keep good form doing your deadlifts throughout your workout session. But yeah, I agree that circuit training is huge, because you can simulate what you're doing on the mat with the pushing and pulling. Because like when you're in jiu-jitsu, say with a gi, even nogi, you're pushing, you're pulling, you're exploding, you're doing all this different stuff. You're not doing one static thing. You're constantly in motion, and you're constantly having to do different types of muscular movement in the roll. So when you do that with your lifting, you push, you pull, you push, you pull, add something in there that keeps your heart rate up. Like kettlebells are fantastic. I think kettlebells are excellent for jiu-jitsu. I like to do a lot of kettlebell work too. So those things really, I think they complement your jiu-jitsu. Nothing replaces rolling though. There's nothing that can replace getting on a mat and training. You have to do. I think that's the number one thing you have to do, and then you tailor your workouts to benefit your training. That's just the way I do, and I think that's probably, in my opinion, the most effective way. And I think it's important. If you just train, it's good. You'll get really good, and your technique will be good. Like there's guys who don't lift at all.
Hello.
This guy right here. But your jiu-jitsu's outstanding. Your wedges, you're strong. You're physically strong in your jiu-jitsu because of all your technique and your framing and all that stuff. And so it still works without it. But definitely having that extra gear, like with strength and with explosiveness, it's helped me out before. Like if I want to really put it and go, I have it if I need it, if I want to. I don't like to do that too often because it's exhausting, and I don't want to bully people on the mat. I'd rather keep working technique, but I have it when I want to do it. And it's funny because I don't use it that much, but then when I use it on somebody, I'll see their eyes kind of open up a little bit. Like, I won't name names, but there's a brown belt that was here, and usually I go pretty light with him, and he's bigger than me. And I was just in the mood to go hard that day, and we slapped, we went, and I used all my technique. I used everything, strength, technique, everything, and he was just. I just remember he was at the end, and he was just looking at me like, "Oh my god,
what did I do?"
I was like, "Thanks, man, thanks for the roll." And I just needed to get some stress out too that day. But the whole day, that's what I was doing. I was in the mood to do it, and it's nice to have that gear if I need it. So I think cross training with weights is doing it appropriately is excellent. I think if you lift real heavy all the time, I don't think that helps you. I think it makes you stiff. I think because you need physical flowing type of movement in jiu-jitsu. You need your body to be able to move and flow. And if you lift heavy and get real big, I think for the most people it's counterproductive. Depending on what you're doing with it. If you're doing a lot, like Andre Galvao, right? That's a thick, big, jacked dude. But he's doing all these other things to keep his body loose and limber. He's training constantly. So he makes it work for him. But like an average person like us, I think you got to be real careful about finding that right balance with your lifting and training and circuits and your jiu-jitsu. That's what I think.
Well, we're talking about these four things. I'm going to say row more because I'm just a big fan of just being on the mats. You know how I feel about weights and training and all that. It's just not my thing. It never has been. And you always know, one of the funniest things I hear, is when I'm running with a lower belt and we finish rolling and they'll say to me, "Man, you're strong."
You are.
Well, hold on. Here's the thing. In my mind, I feel like you don't know the difference between strength and pressure. And I think lower belts feel like he just smashed me or he had really good side control pressure or whatever. And in their mind, they think, "Damn, you're strong." But they don't know the difference. They don't know the difference when you're using good pressure versus using strength. Because I joke that you can accuse me of a lot of things, but being strong is not one of them, But I think that like you said that because I specifically only do jiu-jitsu, I specifically only practice in moving other human beings around. Like, it does develop certain muscles that maybe normal people don't have.
I don't think it's muscles. I think what's happening is, because I see small guys do it too, like 130-pound guys do this too. And it's not about physical strength. Like, you're not going to go bench press anything, right? You're not going to bench press breadstick.
Yeah.
Be honest with you.
Probably not. I don't go to Olive Garden because of that reason.
Yeah. So, and there's little guys the same way, but they've learned technique. They've learned how, because your bone structure is very strong. So when you understand and learn how to create frames and move properly,
A lower belt looks at it like you're strong.
You think that strength, it's a type of strength, but it's the technique.
Right.
Your technique is so solid, and you're so good at using your bone structure to create frames and move your body properly. Like, the strength is not going to defeat that most of the time. It takes a lot of strength to defeat really, really good technique. And that's what they're experiencing. That's what I've experienced with you. I've experienced with other guys that don't lift, or they're small guys, but their technique is so sound that you have to out technique it. Like, you're not going to out strength it for the most part.
So we agree that I don't need to go to the gym. That's what I took away from what you just said.
No, because I think if you go back and you realize now this is what's going to start happening to you, in my opinion, because you train a lot, right? But you're not strengthening. You're not developing the muscles around your bones and your joints and stuff like that.
So you think I need to create that layer of muscle to protect myself from injuries, pretty much.
You need to create support structure in your body to deal with the pounding you take.
Well, I told you, Hollywood. Remember Hollywood from Elite? He was one of the black belts at the time. He would teach like the lunch classes. I talked to him once, and I think I've said this before, where he was the only person that gave me a rational reason as to why I lift weights. And he said, I don't lift weights because I want to look good or because I want muscle. I don't want to be all jacked up. He says, I do it because working out gives my body an extra layer of protection.
Yes, it does.
Because he was older. He was an older guy. And I will admit 100% that Wednesday night when it's 2-3 in the morning, I can't find a comfortable resting position. I'm having to breathe shallow because I've got this terrible pain in my back. Like, as soon as I would breathe in deep,
right.
I remember thinking like, damn, what if I worked out just enough to help, with stuff like this, to make my back stronger.
I am telling you, if you did basic strength training, you would hate it at first, but you would see an improvement, not just because you got the moneymaker, right?
Oh yeah, everybody knows.
But down, like I'm just saying.
Careful.
All I'm saying is,
careful.
Besides the external benefit for your lovely wife, think about her too.
Yeah.
You would see a dramatic improvement in your physical ability to recover from training, and in any kind of injuries you're feeling. Now, you have to take. It's not just lifting. You need to be stretching. You need to be eating properly.
Yeah.
These things all come into play. It's not a one tool fix all situation. You have to do the whole nine. But it will make a huge difference in how you recover from injuries, how many injuries you get. Because the stronger your muscles are around your joints and your bones and all that stuff, they protect those from injuries. Like, because it's protecting your lesser. It's just protecting your body.
Yeah.
Now there's always. You get too big, then now you're worried about muscle pulls and all this stuff because you're straining your body now.
And that's what I worry about. I'm gonna get so many gains.
You are because I can tell you're the kind of guy that just puts on muscle like without even
I'm yes, it's a blessing and a curse. And now what if I've got all these gains and all of a sudden now I'm tapping early to an arm bar because I don't have that.
No,
there's too much muscle.
No, the arm bar won't even happen. Have you ever tried to arm bar a freaking jack dude?
Yeah, it's not. A long day.
That's why you choke him. That's why you choke.
Or you catch him in a leg lock.
Or heel hook. Yeah.
Or nobody works out their wrist, so the wrists are always there.
But like a jack dude, like they'll lock it up. He's like, well, that wrist ain't going anywhere. So, yeah. No, I think I absolutely. You know how I feel about this, and I enjoy working out anyway.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't do jiu-jitsu, I'd just be in the gym all the time anyway. But I know it's really helped me in jiu-jitsu in multiple ways, and I'm thankful for it. I'm glad I've always lifted, and it's as I get older, I'm even more thankful for it.
So what are your thoughts on like, because I know how I am. Like, I'm not gonna go in a gym and I'm not gonna start lifting weights, but I've always thought about the idea of like doing I don't know, I don't know if the right term is like body weight. So,
plyometrics.
Okay, so like push-ups, pull-ups.
Those are outstanding.
Things like that.
You gotta build
actually
them up.
Building. I'm sorry. Instead of actually lifting.
Yeah.
I think I would be open to the idea of figuring out some sort of CrossFit.
First of all,
hold on, but hear me out.
Take CrossFit out.
No, but hear me out. Why? Please. Some sort of CrossFit circuit type jiu-jitsu training where it's like floor
Circuit
exercises.
training. Just say circuit training.
Okay, let's call it circuit training, right? Maybe you do hip escapes holding.
Yeah, that stuff.
Like stuff like that.
Bro, I 100% agree. And there's lots of good. There's people out there putting good stuff out there. That's a lot of mobility and jiu-jitsu style workouts specific for jiu-jitsu, where it is doing, like whatever, using medicine balls, and you're using different things to add weight to the movements. A good one that I like to do is a Turkish get up, because that's like, it's basically a technical stand up with a kettlebell.
When you push on behind the arm.
Or you can do it with a weighted ball,
Yeah.
which is harder because you got to balance that ball in there, and so it really forces you to focus. There's lots of cool stuff out there. That's why kettlebells are pretty great, because there's a lot of stuff you can do with them, so you can really use them. They're really helpful for jiu-jitsu. You can, like, Joe Rogan's a huge kettlebell fan. He pushes kettlebells hard. I still like some of the Olympic lifts and static lifts along with other stuff, but there's lots of stuff you can do, and I agree with you. Now, plyometrics is great. Push-ups, pull-ups, like I do that in all my exercises. I'm adding plyometrics in there, but it does help to lift some weight. It doesn't have to be heavy. Like, you don't have to lift heavy at all. It just getting your body doing that movement and developing those muscles. The weight will help you develop the muscles. It forces your muscles to build. Is what it does.
Sounds like
propaganda. I know you already got.
It just sounds like some Trump shit. Bunch of fake news propaganda. But I'll look into it and we'll see. Because I will say this much: my back is still tender right now. I trained last night. We did no-gi, and we got after it last night, and felt pretty good. And then today, again, it kind of started to like tighten up again, and I'm like, damn, is this gonna be a thing now? Because backs, they're weird. Like, you strain it, and then it's like, me, I never want to stay off the mats.
Dude, backs are tricky, bro. Backs are tricky, man. You gotta be careful. I've seen people really jack up their backs, and like in my line of work, because of the gear we wear. It's another reason if you're a police officer working out, it's really important just because of the stuff you wear and the type of job you're doing, to keep your body from developing chronic problems, like especially backs. Backs are the worst. When your back goes, I've seen people have major fucking issues with backs and then never recover from it.
So I spent my 20s in corporate America, and I literally my entire 20s, and when I got to this department, there was nobody on my floor that was under 45. And one day I'm at work, and one of the guys called in sick, and we were told he called in sick because he hurt his back shaving.
What?
Hold on, because that's what I said.
What was he shaving?
Bro, that's what confused me, right? Because I was like, wait, what? Like, in my mind, I pictured this guy over the sink, hunched over, shaving his back, like under his, he's trying to figure out, and maybe he's stretching, and he's trying to get to his back and under and whatever. And I'm like, but why would you be shaving your back? That was just kind of weird to me in itself. And in my mind, I'm trying to imagine how he must have been trying to stretch and hurt his back. Well, no, it wasn't even that. It was literally the guy went to shave his face, kind of leaned down, was shaving nice and normal, and boom, something just locked up in his back. And I remember thinking, that is the biggest crock of shit ever. Like, who hurts their back shaving, right?
I've never heard of that before. Man.
Right. And I just thought it was just another lame excuse not to come to work. Until, man, it had to be my mid to late 30s. The first time I hurt my back in jiu-jitsu, I twisted wrong. And dude, when your back is hurt, it's hard to breathe. You're not putting on your socks. Everything that you do on a daily that's like you take for granted, all of a sudden it's like, it's just the worst pain ever. And I remember when it happened the first time, I thought about that guy when I was in my 20s, and I was like, now I get it. Something as simple as him shaving, he blew his back out. Here I am. I know it sounds ridiculous to say.
This doesn't make sense.
But the weirdest things can happen. People. I knew a high level guy that he had to stop training for almost like 6 months, and he hurt his back. So naturally, we thought, oh, of course, jiu-jitsu. No, he literally bent down to pick up his little nephew, picked him up, and something just went wrong when he bent down and picked the little dude up, and he blew his back out. And it's just kind of like, the back is one of those weird things where it could be something as you're you get put in a twister, or you're tying your shoes, and then there goes your back, and now you're just like in pain. So it's like that. Like I said, Wednesday night was the first time that I seriously was like, okay, I'm gonna at least go get like a pull-up bar, because at least this way I can hang and stretch everything out, and then really start thinking about
work on that first pull-up.
Well, right now I'm just gonna work on hanging, baby steps. I don't want to discourage myself
Dude,
and try to do a pull-up.
Let me tell you. So
we should ask the fans. Put your comments in there, and I'll put it on video. I don't care. If I go get a pull-up bar, how many pull-ups do you guys think I can do?
I got a pull-up bar.
Well, you let me borrow it. But I'm curious to see how many pull-ups people think I could do versus how many I could think I can actually do.
So we're gonna film this.
That's fine.
We're gonna film this. I think.
How many?
Let's do this. For every pull-up you do, I'll do 10.
So it sounds like he might be doing 10 pull-ups then. So,
all right.
But no, all right. Well, tell me this. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. How many pull-ups do you think I can do? If right now
When's the last time you did a pull-up?
1987. I think I was at the junior high, elementary.
Like all the way to the chin?
Wait. Are we talking about like, like hanging from a dead hang and pulling up, or are we talking about those CrossFit?
Don't do the CrossFit ones. That's how you fuck your shoulders up.
Well, they look pretty cool though.
Dude, just stay away.
How many pull-ups do you think I could do? Honestly, you're not gonna hurt my feelings.
Let me put an over-under on it.
Here we go. It's that politically correct answer.
Man, I know I'm struggling because so this is what's difficult about this is because I train with you. So physically, I know you've got some physical. There's something there.
Something. All right, I'll take it.
But that's still different than doing like a lift or a pull, like a pull up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 1.5. I'm gonna put 1.5.
1.5. Okay.
And that's like a full pull up. That's not a half one. That's a here to here, and then back down, and then you'll get like about here, and then for now. But we're gonna build you up from that.
Okay. Man, I gotta tell you, 1.5 sounds about
That's
right.
That's my over under.
I'd like to think I could get to 5. Like my ego's like, I could probably knock out 5.
You're not gonna do 5. If you haven't done any since 1980 something, you're not knocking out 5.
Well, I'm curious. Like, I want to hear from the listeners, and you guys comment up. Think how we'll put it up on a poll or whatever. And
how many pull-ups can Ronnie do?
Yeah, how many pull-ups can Ronnie do? Well, granted, I haven't done these in years, but I'm game. And maybe that'll be a thing where like day 1, this is how many I do, and then we'll check back in 30 days and we'll see where we're at.
Just check every week. You can develop pull-ups pretty fast if you do them every day.
I was thinking about doing it once a month, but
oh my god.
Oh well, we'll work out the logistics of it.
Right. Well, we'll put that poll up and we'll get that one going. So I think it's time for our Dear White Belt segment.
Oh god.
I haven't put a lot of thought into this one. I've had a lot going on, but
you want me to go first?
I want you to go first.
Okay, so today's is more of I would almost classify this one as well as we love to talk about unwritten rules. Dear White Belt, when we line up, and you're lining up at any academy, if your belt's all jacked up and your gi's all messed up, as a courtesy, out of respect thing, because this is where we were brought up, when you tie your belt, turn towards the wall and tie your belt, and then turn back when you're ready. Get yourself on the line. It's just a respect thing. I can't even tell you where it came from, but we were just always taught that you don't tie your belt, facing the instructors. You turn away, turn toward. And it was a weird thing because I think about it, it's like, well, you're turning your back to the instructor now, but it's just the way we were brought up. And so yeah, Dear White Belt, when you're getting yourself ready at the end of the class, fixing yourself all up, just turn away, tie your stuff up, then turn back and face your instructors. It's just a respect thing. It's just a nice way to show your instructors respect. So that's the only one I had today.
Well, that's a good one. I'm going to say, Dear White Belt, when you are rolling and you catch a submission, do not spaz out and try to rip the submission off. Don't do that. Learn control. This is how white belts injure everybody. Is they'll get into a position and they'll spaz through it thinking if I explode my body in some strange way, I will escape this. Well, all you're going to do is probably not escape it, and probably injure your partner and probably injure yourself at some point. And also with submissions. Like if you catch a Kimura, and the guy's resisting, don't rip so hard that if you do get it, you just wrecked your partner's shoulder.
Yeah, those are the scary
Don't
ones.
do that. Like there's things you can do on a Kimura when people are resisting. Learn those techniques. And if you can do it in a controlled fashion, learn to control your body and learn to control submissions. If you watch upper belts, when they go hard, now they'll take a submission and they'll rip it, but even when they're ripping it, it's in a controlled motion.
Yeah. And
the other guy knows what's happening. So, but you'll never see me like rip submissions on lower belts. Like never. Like no way. Like if they don't want to give me something, I'll just transfer. I'll just go to something else because I'm not trying to. I don't want to hurt anybody out here. So stop. I guess basically don't use spaz moves as a technique because it's not a technique.
No, that's a great one and you're absolutely right. And just to add a little quick one of that one is you'll get that rep and none of the higher belts are going to want to train with you.
Nope.
Because they'll be like, no, I'm not rolling with that dude. He's going to hurt me or he's going to hurt himself or I'm going to hurt him because he's going to piss me off. And so that's the worst of it. And luckily I got told that as a white belt, like, hey man, you need to settle down because none of the higher belts are going to want to train with you if they're constantly worried that you're going to injure them, So that's a really, really good one because not only are you risking injury, you're risking almost alienating yourself from the higher belts where you're only going to be able to train with white belts, and that's going to be a disaster if you have no control. So I'm glad you brought that one up.
And here's the thing, though, and understand doesn't mean don't roll hard,
right?
But understand the difference between rolling hard and spazzing. Understand the difference. We had a guy here, I haven't seen him in a while. He was a Division I athlete. He played football for Rice. Linebacker, so he was like 6'2", when he was playing, like 225, just jacked. Nice kid, very smart. And I loved rolling with him, one, because he was physically strong, and so it was always a hard roll, and he was very athletic. But he never spazzed, and he was always super concerned with making sure he was using technique and not too much strength. He was like always wanting to make sure his technique was what was being prioritized, and the strength was not so much. Because he would always ask me, I was using technique, right? And I was like, yeah. But I would tell him, use your strength on me. I was like, I'm a black belt. Excuse me. I want you to do that to me because I need to learn and deal with someone that's half my age and twice my athletic ability and strength. This helps me develop my technique better. So do that. Go ahead and do that. I said, with other people, definitely calm it down. But one thing he never did was spaz. Yeah. He understood the difference. And I guess I think he went to medical school. Yeah, this guy's super smart. His brother was here too. Very smart kids. But that's a good example of knowing the difference. But if you find yourself jerking and pulling and doing all this weird shit to explode out of stuff, guess what? You're spazzing and you're irritating everybody you're rolling with.
Yeah. No, it's good, man. I'm really glad you brought that one up. You got any shout outs or anything?
Next Saturday we got Gordon Ryan here at Hensel Gracie headquarters. Doing a seminar. You can go, I think it's Eventbrite to purchase tickets. I'll be there. I missed him last time because I was out of town. So I'm excited. I've heard he puts on pretty good seminars. We got some fights coming up. Frankie's got a super fight coming up, Sub 100 Pro.
Yeah.
February 28th.
I don't know the dates. I know.
End of February.
Yeah. Brian's competing as well with one of our purple belts.
Nate, he's actually an HPD officer.
Yeah.
With Nate, he's tough. And he's training hard. He's ready to go. That'll be at Third Coast Grappling, March 14th, I believe.
Lauren's got her fight coming
Saturday.
UFC fight.
That's right. That's right. Saturday. She's fighting here in Houston, UFC 208.
I don't even know what podcast we're on, so I'm getting out of here. So
in fact, Lauren's over here someplace getting some special photo shoot done. So we're excited for her and Joe. He'll be in her corner.
Yeah.
And we got some good stuff coming up for the academy, and it's an exciting time.
Yeah, I got a little quick shout out to one of our good buddies. Don't listen to this, but I know you are, Brody Beast Mode, because I said it wrong last time.
He listens every time. He listens, right?
And then of course, his dad Patrick's always a big supporter of us. And Triangle Joe, I know you're listening to because you're kind of obsessive and weird like that, stalker. The last thing I did want to say before we go is, and I'm sure you can put it on once you upload this and get on the thing, is we did transition, guys, from our old YouTube channel to a new YouTube channel. We heard a couple of people asking us, how come I'm not getting notifications? It's because I think you guys are still subscribed to the other one. So we'll put the new one up, and all you got to go do is subscribe.
Well, if you click, I put the link to YouTube on our Instagram page. So if you go into the profile section or whatever, there's the link to the profile to the YouTube page. You click on it. It takes you right to the Bromos Jiu Jitsu podcast YouTube page.
So in other words, just like every other asshole on YouTube, just make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you can get all the notifications, guys. So you know when we got a new episode up.
Yeah. So I think that covers it. And if you got any, obviously, first of all, thanks for all the love. Because actually, since we started it back up, a lot of people we just came from grappling games. I got hit up a couple times there with some guys says, "Hey man, glad you brought the podcast back." I had one, "Hey, is the podcast back?" I was like, "Yes," and so I explained how to go look at it. But yeah, thanks for all the love. I think it feels good. I'm glad that people are enjoying listening to us, and we try to talk local stuff, and I think that's kind of our goal here is to enjoy talking about local stuff that everybody's going because our jiu-jitsu scene here in Houston's really exploded over the last few years, and we're real fortunate to be a part of it. I think. With the jiu-jitsu scene.
Well, that's it, man. I got nothing else.
Yeah, I got nothing else. So I'm gonna go lift weights.
I'm gonna go not lift weights. Nope. Bye.